An aspiring editor named Andrew wakes up and realizes he's almost late. He rushes through the busy streets of New York to make it to his office. When he arrives, he accidentally bumps into the mail guy, spilling coffee all over himself. Meanwhile, his Canadian boss Margaret enters, and with her strict presence, everyone in the office quickly shapes up. Andrew, now in a clean shirt, greets Margaret in her office, showing that he isn't just her assistant but more like someone stuck doing everything for her. Their exchange over coffee makes it clear how little power he has around her. Andrew's rough day is briefly paused when he gets a call from a colleague named Bob, who Margaret is about to meet. They go to Bob's office, where Margaret stuns him by firing him. Bob lashes out, throwing harsh words at Margaret in front of everyone, but Margaret fires back by exposing his unfaithfulness to his wife, cutting the argument short. After this, Margaret tells Andrew he has to work the weekend with her, forcing him to cancel his plans for his grandma's birthday celebration. While Andrew is on the phone canceling with his family, Margaret comes near, and he hurriedly hangs up. Moments later, Andrew gets a call asking him to bring Margaret to the CEO's office. Inside, Margaret is told her visa was denied. She now faces deportation and could be replaced by Bob. Just then, Andrew enters with a message, saying Mary had called. The word Mary sparks an idea for Margaret, and she calls Andrew inside. Quickly thinking, Margaret announces they are engaged and about to marry. Andrew plays along, and the CEO approves, telling them to make it official if Margaret wants to keep her job. The news spreads like wildfire in the office, and soon everyone is buzzing about their fake engagement. Back in her office, Andrew tries to talk it over, but Margaret convinces him to stick with the plan so neither of them loses their job. They then visit immigration to file their engagement, where they face an officer's questioning. He warns them of serious trouble if it's a sham, but Andrew, seeing his chance, demands to be promoted to editor or else he'll spill the truth. The officer asks a few questions, and Margaret explains that they'll be traveling to Andrew's hometown in Alaska that weekend to share the news. Afterward, Andrew lays down his conditions. Either she agrees to his terms, or he's out. With no choice, Margaret agrees. To tease her a little, Andrew asks her to propose to him properly. Margaret goes along with it, even dropping to one knee to propose right in the busy streets of New York. When they arrive in Alaska, Andrew and Margaret are welcomed by his mother Mary and his grandmother Annie. On the way, Margaret notices several stores with the name Paxton, Andrew's last name, which leads Grandma Annie to explain that Andrew doesn't like showing off. As they reach Andrew's childhood home, Margaret is shocked to see how wealthy his family really is. They are greeted by a party organized by Andrew's parents, where Andrew introduces Margaret to old friends and acquaintances. Andrew's father, Joe, then embarrasses him by telling everyone that Andrew works as Margaret's assistant. Annoyed, Andrew firmly declares in front of everyone that he and Margaret are engaged and soon to be married. Champagne bottles are quickly brought out, and the celebration begins. During the party, Andrew's ex-girlfriend Gert shows up, hugging him and congratulating both of them. Curious, Gert asks how Andrew proposed, which makes Mary and Grandma Annie eager to hear the story too. Andrew quickly passes the spotlight to Margaret, claiming she likes telling it. They end up joking and making up a fake story together, and the guests seem convinced. Soon, someone in the crowd calls for a kiss. Andrew first tries to get away with kissing Margaret's hand, but the guests demand a real kiss. Reluctantly, they share one, which unexpectedly grows into something more, leaving both of them surprised. Later, Mary and Grandma Annie show the couple their room. Their family dog Kevin runs in, startling Margaret since she's scared of dogs. Grandma Annie warns them not to let Kevin outside or an eagle might carry him off. Once everyone leaves, Andrew and Margaret set the rules for sleeping, with Andrew deciding to stay on the floor. The next morning, Margaret and Andrew are woken by a phone call from one of Margaret's writers. She forgets to close the door, and Kevin escapes. Just as Grandma Annie warned, an eagle swoops down and grabs Kevin. Margaret panics and throws her phone at the bird to rescue him. She manages to save the dog, but then the eagle snatches her phone instead. When Mary and Grandma Annie see her holding Kevin, they assume Margaret is happily playing with the dog. They call Andrew over, and Margaret, though reluctant, plays along to keep up the act of being a loving couple. Later, Andrew is called aside by his father. Joe apologizes for how he acted at the party, but soon tries convincing Andrew to quit his job and run the family business. The talk ends badly, and Andrew storms off, frustrated. Meanwhile, Margaret goes out with Mary and Grandma Annie for a girls' outing. They end up at a small bar where a male performer is on stage. Margaret uncomfortably endures a lap dance before stepping outside for air. There, she runs into Gert, and they talk briefly about Andrew and her past with him, leaving Margaret deep in thought. When they return home, they see Andrew working with a large piece of wood. Mary confronts Joe about his argument with Andrew, forcing Joe to admit his mistake. Mary scolds him and insists he make peace with his son. Upstairs, Margaret goes to shower but forgets to bring a towel. At the same time, Andrew is outside on the patio changing clothes. Without realizing it, Margaret steps out unclothed to grab a towel and is startled by Kevin. In her attempt to shoo the dog, she accidentally bumps straight into Andrew, also undressed. Embarrassed, they exchange sharp words, and as Andrew leaves, he casually remarks about the tattoo she has. That night, Margaret grows curious about Andrew's strained relationship with his father and asks him about it. Andrew stays quiet, so Margaret instead shares something personal. She says she got her tattoo at 16, after losing her parents. Andrew realizes that her tough and cold nature may have come from losing her family so young. The next morning, Margaret hears footsteps and quickly calls Andrew to the bed, asking him to cuddle with her. Mary walks in with breakfast, and Joe follows. Andrew's father then suggests they should hold the wedding the very next day during Grandma Annie's birthday. Grandma Annie insists, saying she'd much rather see a wedding than have another birthday celebration. Andrew panics at the thought of lying to his family. While trying to calm him, Margaret tells him they can easily get divorced afterward. She reassures him and even serves him breakfast like a wife would. Realizing she's acting strangely, Margaret decides to step out for some fresh air. While biking through the forest, she hears drumbeats and stumbles upon Grandma Annie performing a ritual. Grandma invites her to join in giving thanks to nature. Margaret joins enthusiastically, even adding her own playful moves. When Andrew suddenly shows up, Margaret feels embarrassed to be caught dancing. Soon after, they head into the city to pick up a replacement phone for her. At a computer shop, Margaret realizes she needs to handle urgent work online. Andrew spots Gert nearby and decides to leave Margaret to her tasks. Watching them together, Margaret feels a pang of jealousy. On the way back, she bombards Andrew with jealous questions, but their talk is cut short when Mary and Grandma arrive to take her shopping. They bring her to a bridal shop, where Grandma insists she try on a wedding dress and even places a family heirloom necklace on her. The gesture stirs emotions in Margaret, making her feel guilty about deceiving Andrew's family. Later, she joins Andrew at the docks and surprises him by suddenly speeding up the boat. Once they are far away from everyone, she opens up about her feelings. She admits she's touched by how much care she's been shown, which makes her feel torn about the lie they're living. As they argue, Andrew notices they're about to hit a buoy. He swerves the boat sharply, sending Margaret overboard. He quickly turns back, pulls her out of the freezing water, and warms her with body heat. When they return home, they run into Joe, who has just gotten a call from the immigration officer. Joe explains that the officer offered a deal. If Andrew admits the marriage is fake, he won't go to jail and Margaret won't be deported. Andrew refuses, insisting he will marry Margaret. Back in their room, Grandma interrupts, saying it's tradition for the bride and groom to sleep separately the night before the wedding. On the wedding day, Andrew and Margaret stand at the altar, but Margaret suddenly stops the ceremony. She confesses the truth in front of everyone, admitting the marriage is fake, then walks out, leaving the guests in shock. Andrew searches for her in their room and finds the manuscript of the book he wanted to publish, along with a note from Margaret. In it, she promises to keep her end of their deal before leaving the company. Meanwhile, Margaret heads for the airport, where the immigration officer tells her she has 24 hours to leave for Canada once they return to New York. Andrew tells his parents he's going after Margaret, but his father tries to stop him, leading to a brief scuffle. Suddenly, Grandma clutches her chest as if having a heart attack, and she has to be airlifted to the hospital. Andrew and his parents go with her on the plane. During the flight, Grandma tells the two men to stop fighting and make peace. Once they agree, she reveals she faked the heart attack just to get Andrew to the airport. They finally arrive, but it's too late. Margaret's plane has already left.
No, come on!
Back in New York, Margaret begins packing her things while her co-workers avoid her. As she asks one of them for help, Andrew suddenly shows up. Margaret tries to brush him off, saying she needs to catch her flight, but Andrew stops her. He tells her how, through everything, he realized he truly loves her. Not wanting to lose the love of his life, Andrew proposes for real this time. Margaret admits she's scared, but Andrew tells her he is too. They agree to face their fears together, sealing it with a passionate kiss in front of everyone.